Hi garden friends, it's Miss Malia in the Ross Garden, and today we are going to be talking about fall planting. But first, let's sing our song. Ready? Get your seeds together. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Plant the little seed in the dark, dark ground. Out comes the yellow sun, big and round. Down comes the cool rain, soft and slow. Up comes the little plants, grow, grow, grow. Awesome! Nice job. Give yourselves a pat on the back. You are getting to be really good at that song. Thanks for helping me out. So today we're going to be talking about fall planting. You hear what letter that is? Fall. It's an F, that's right. Fall planting. So in one of our earlier lessons, we talked about our seasons in the garden. And seasons in the garden are the same seasons that we have anywhere. We have our spring season, our summer season, our fall season, and our winter season. And right now, we are just entering into our fall season. So it's also fall in the garden. So we want to talk with you a little bit today about what does that look like in the garden and what might we plant in the fall. Anyone have any ideas before we get started? What might you think about planting in the fall in the garden? Any ideas? Well, we want to make sure that they are cool season crops. Why might that be? What do you think? Well, as the summer turns into fall and the fall turns into winter, does it get warmer or colder? It starts to get colder, that's right. It starts to get chilly and then it gets really cold. So we need to make sure that we're planting things in the garden that are really hardy and that will be able to tolerate the cold, which means they'll be able to withstand the cold, that they can grow in the garden even when it's cool. So we want to think about some cool, real cool crops or plants. What do you think the word cool starts with? That's a tricky sound. That can be either a what? A C or a K. For cool, it's a C. Cool weather plants. All right. Well, some ideas about cool weather plants. Anybody know what this is? What is that? Can you tell me? Looks like a little tree or a little bush. It's some broccoli. Yeah. So broccoli is one of our cool weather crops, cool weather plants that we can plant and will grow pretty well in the cool weather. So the broccoli plant is part of a larger family, just like you, right? So the family that the broccoli belongs to is the Brassica. You ever heard that word before? Brassica. B, that's right, like broccoli. B-R-A-S-S-I-C-A. Brassica. Broccoli is part of the Brassica family. Can you say Brassica? Try that with me. It's kind of a funny one. Brassica. Good. So some other plants that are part of the Brassica family are, well, does anybody know a plant that looks similar to broccoli, but it's white? Cauliflower. So cauliflower, broccoli, what are other things in the Brassica family? What would you think about? Cabbage. Cabbage is part of the Brassica family. So these are all cool weather crops that we can plant and that we will plant in our garden. And today in our garden demonstration, Miss Kim is going to show you how we're actually going to plant those. But I'll show you what we start with. They're actually called plant starts. So you can either drop those little seeds right into the dirt and grow our plants from them, which we do often in the garden. And we can also get some little baby plants that are already started for us. So another gardener or farmer has already started those seeds in small containers and grown them large enough so that they'll be strong and ready to go in the dirt in our garden. So this is an example of a plant start. You see these? You might have seen this at a gardening store or another type of farmer's market, and so they're all in these little containers. This one is going to grow some cabbage. So I'm going to show you an example. Let me take one out so you can see it. You want to be really careful with them so we don't hurt our baby plants. Take it out like that, very gently, so you can see how it's grown already. See all the roots down below and the plant up above. Can you see the color of that? It's a really pretty purple and green color. All right, so I'm going to be very gentle with my baby plant. I'm going to put it back in its container until we're ready to plant it into the ground. All right, so we have our baby plants we're going to start with. Ooh, what does baby start with? B. Ooh, it starts with the same letter as brassica or broccoli. It's a B. So our baby plants. These are also called plant starts. So either way you can call them. I think it's fun to call them baby plants because they are. All right, and another thing that we want to do is we want to make sure when we plant these new baby plants into the soil is that we make sure that the soil, the ground, is really good and healthy and full of good nutrients and food for the plants. So we do something that we called mend the soil before we plant them. Mending the soil means to add some compost that has lots of good nutrients and mix it all up so that that soil, that dirt is ready for those baby plants. So that's mend, M. We're going to mend the soil. That means to fix it. Have you ever heard someone say, I'm going to mend something, I'm going to fix it? Maybe someone in your family has mended your socks or your clothes before. You play really hard and you get a hole in them. You might need to sew them up. They mended them. That's right, they fixed it. So we're going to fix the soil so that it's ready for those baby plants. And one last thing that we want to do is once we plant those plants into the ground, once we put them down into the ground, into that mended soil, we need to make sure in this cool weather that's coming that they stay nice and warm. How do you stay nice and warm when it gets cool? We usually put more layers of clothes on. Maybe get a sweater, a jacket, put a hat on. So for these baby plants, you know what we do? We keep them warm and snuggly too. And we used what's called mulch. And there are different types of mulch, but what we use in the garden is we just use straw. So we take the straw and we spread it around those baby plants that we just planted like a blanket. It keeps them nice and cozy and warm for when the temperature gets cooler. All right, friends, well, I can't wait for you to experience some of the planting today with Miss Kim, and I'll see you in just a little bit. Bye, friends. Hi, garden friends. For our fall planting book, we are going to read Up in the Garden and Down in the Dirt. You ready? Look at all these beautiful plants. Let's read about them. Up in the garden and down in the dirt. Up in the garden I stand and plan, my hands full of seeds and my head full of dreams. It looks really cold in this picture. It looks like it's winter time. Spring sun shines down to melt the sleepy snow. Wind whistles through last year's plants, and mud sucks at my rain boots. It's not quite time, Nana says. Down in the dirt, things need to dry out and warm up. What's down there? I ask. Do you ever wonder what's down there? What's down in the dirt? Down in the dirt is a whole busy world of earthworms and insects, digging and building and stirring up soil. They're already working down in the dirt. Up in the garden, we snap brittle stalks, scoop rustly armfuls, and wheel away weeds for the chickens. While they squabble and scratch, we spread compost over the soil. And you remember that compost is really, really good soil that's full of good nutrients and foods for the plants that we will grow. Down in the dirt, pillbugs chew through last year's leaves. I give a gentle poke. They roll up tight and hide in plated suits of armor, roly-poly round. You ever seen these little pillbugs or roly-polies or potato bugs? They have all different types of names. And when you tickle them, they roll up into a ball to protect themselves. So you can see down in the dirt and up in the garden. Up in the garden, it's time to plant. I trail a furrow with my finger and sprinkle seeds in a careful row. You see right here? Using their finger to make rows in the soil. Give them a drink, Nana says. We pat them down to snuggle in the dark. So down in the dirt, a tomato hornworm rests, waiting for wings and the leaves where she'll lay her eggs. See right there? Down in the dirt. Up in the garden, carrot plants sprout. Swing! Pea blossoms bloom. Wasps are on the prowl and honeybees visit, legs loaded with pollen. Pollen from the plants. So they're down in the dirt. The carrots are starting to grow. The earthworms are tunneling through the soil to help provide air and room for the roots to grow. And up here, the honeybees are working hard to pollinate all of the plants. I weed and wilt in sun so strong, even Nana looks for shade. Down in the dirt, earthworms tunnel deep. I'm jealous of their cool, damp, dark. So up in the garden, it's really hot. Down in the dirt, it's cool and moist. Up in the garden, rain shower! Nana turns the hose on me. Eee! I bet it feels really good in that hot summer sun. I hide behind the cucumber vines, but their leaves can't save me. I shiver and laugh, drenched in Nana's rain. Down in the dirt, water soaks deep. Roots drink it in, and a long-legged spider stilt walks over the streams. Oh. Can you find that long-legged spider stilt walking over the stream? There it is. Up in the garden, there's so much to eat. Ladybugs feast on aphids. Nana crunches green beans. I bite a ripe tomato, warm from the sun. Juice dribbles down my chin. Down in the dirt, a robin's beak finds a cricket, a beetle, a grub. Slugs are scrumptious too. Up in the garden, we pick cukes and zucchini, harvesting into the dark. Bats swoop through the sunflowers, and I pluck June bugs from the basil until it's time for bed. See the bat up here? The bat is swooping around and is going to eat all the mosquitoes. Thank you, bat. Down in the dirt, skunks work the night shift. They snuffle and dig and gobble cutworms while I sleep. Thank you, skunk. It's helping in the garden. Up in the garden, a praying mantis wakes to hunt mosquitoes. Nana sprays away the aphids, and I am after grasshoppers, ready to swoosh. Do you see her with her net? She's going to try to catch the grasshopper. But, snap! Someone else finds it first. Oh, someone else is faster. Down in the dirt, a smooth, shining garter snake crunches on supper. So the garter snake gets the grasshopper. The garter snake may look a little scary here, but garter snakes are helpful in the garden, and they are not poisonous to us. They like to hide from us. Up in the garden, the wind grows cool. Pumpkins blush orange, and sunflowers bow to September. Nana ties them together to build a house for reading. Oh, how fun! Look at that. Ooh, what letter do you see that they're working on here? What letter does Nana have for sunflower? Sun. S. That's right. Down in the dirt, an orb weaver spins her web, strand by silken strand. She'll munch on moths tonight. You see this beautiful orb web, and the moths are getting caught in there. And that's what the spider will eat. Up in the garden, colored leaves litter the squash vines, and we know the cold is coming. Hurry, hurry and harvest. There's enough for the neighbors too. Down in the dirt, frantic ants gather what we leave behind. They're storing food for cooler days ahead. Up in the garden, frost draws lace on leftover leaves where secret egg sacs hang, waiting for the warm to return. We say goodbye and spread the winter blankets. Down in the dirt, beetles burrow, ants scurry home, earthworms curl tight in the dark. Everybody's getting cozy for winter. When Grandpa calls us in for soup, an autumn moon is rising. See? Everything is starting to change. The leaves are falling. It's autumn or fall. Up in the garden, dry corn stalks tremble and the wind smells like winter. But the long, ripe days of summer still rest in the garden beds. The ladybugs and bumblebees, earthworms and ants are hunkered down, hiding, biding their time. Let's see. Dreaming of sunshine and blossoms and sprouts. Under the bare arms of trees and the blanketing snow, a whole new garden sleeps down in the dirt. See, it went from fall to winter time. Remember how we talked about our seasons? So it was really hot and it was summer, and then it got a little cooler, and the leaves started to change colors in the fall. That's what's happening right now. And then after that, it will be wintertime. And after winter will come spring. And that is the end, friends, of our Up in the Garden and Down in the Dirt.
Hey everybody, Miss Kim here. So today for our art, we are going to do hand trees because it's fall and we want to draw trees. Because what happens in the fall? Leaves fall off trees. So I'm going to take my hand. What you'll need is a piece of paper and crayons or markers or colored pencils, anything you want to use that are fall colors. Now, what are fall colors? We have orange, yellow, red, brown, and green. These are all colors that the leaves turn in the fall. So the first thing we're going to do is take our hand and lay it down on the paper with our wrist, with this part too, and spread your hand out as far as you want to, because your fingers are going to be the branches. And we're going to trace to make a tree trunk and trace our fingers. Hand stuff is fun because we can look back at it next year and the year after and the year after and see how much we've grown. So cool. And it's an easy way to make something when you're not quite sure how to make something, like a tree trunk. All right. Now, I know this looks like a hand, but we're going to do stuff to it to make it look like a tree. First, I'm going to color this part, my wrist. I'm going to color it brown. And then I'm going to come up and color this part as well. I'm going to color the whole thing until it's all brown. And I'm coloring on wood, so that's pretty cool because it makes it look even more like a tree. Okay, now you draw your leaves. You can draw any kind of leaves you want. You can draw leaves shaped like this. can draw them like this. You can draw them all over. You can draw them on your fingers. You can draw them hanging off your fingers, however you want. Use any color you want. I like to make my leaves like this, but there are all different ways you can do leaves. You can even use leaves if you want and trace them. It's pretty cool too. And we're gonna do the whole thing covered in as many leaves as you can. And you can make leaves falling. You can make them on the tree. It's just a fun way to draw your tree and remember how big you were in the fall of 2020. Some people might like to just make dots for leaves, which is fine too. Because I think that looks pretty cool as well. Just keep on coloring your hand tree in whatever creative way you want. It's really fun. I'm going fast because I don't want my video to be too long, but you can go slow, you can go fast, you can take as much time on it as you want to, because it's your tree, your hand tree. It's coming out really neat. I love all the fall colors, they're my favorite. Just keep on going. Your grown-ups will really like this because they just love when you use your hands so they can tell how much you've grown. So when you're like 16, they can be like, this is how big your hand was when you were 6. Some of the best things ever. So here is my hand tree. Enjoy your drawing. It's really fun. Hi everybody. This is Kim here at the Rosebank Garden. Today we're going to plant some cool season crops. Cool season crops are things that grow in cool season, like in fall and winter and spring. We have broccoli and cauliflower. This is what a broccoli transplant looks like. It's got the roots down here, and when you put the roots under some nice soil, it helps the top to grow up, and it grows about this big. It grows up to like 2 feet, and then it will shoot up what we call the head, and it's a head of broccoli, and that's what we eat. So the first thing I'm going to do, put on my gloves, and I'm going to dig a hole in this wonderfully amended soil that we have. To amend soil means we used compost from our gardens, from our compost bins, and we spread it in all of our garden beds to kind of freshen up the soil from last year. Because compost has lots of vitamins and nutrients that soil needs to help plants to grow. So I've got a nice hole here. I'm going to take my broccoli and I'm going to put it in there. And then I'm going to take my soil around it and I'm just going to cover up the roots. Cover up these roots, nice and complete. And then I'm going to cover it with the straw that I put in the bed, which is called mulch, and that's something that we use to keep the roots warm. I also have more cool season crops. I have collards, I have garlic, which we're going to plant. And then I have seeds for kale and lettuce. So let's take our collards over to the collard bed, because this bed already has broccoli and cauliflower planted all in it. So we'll come over here to where our collards are. And there we go. Whoops. Okay. I'm going to take this little collard plant, this cute little collard plant, and dig a hole just like I did with the broccoli, and I'm going to plop it in there. Keep my garden tag in there so I know exactly what I planted. Sometimes things like broccoli and cauliflower, they can look the same as they grow until they flower and the part you eat comes. So we want to know what our plants are so that we know how to take care of them. So I'm going to put my garden tag right here. And then going to take my seeds for my kale and I'm going to plant them in the kale bed, and I'm going to cover it up with some nice compost, and I'm going to water everything, and everything's going to grow and just be beautiful. So over here we have our bed of Swiss chard. Swiss chard is a delicious green that we like to eat in soups and raw and salads even. I planted some Swiss chard in here, but I'm also going to plop some of this garlic. So we're going to peel off the skin of the garlic, this outer part. And we can just bury this in our soil because it will decompose. It's a big word. That means it'll kind of melt into the soil and feed the soil and become part of the soil. Now some people like to plant garlic different ways. Some people like to do it like this, where they just take a little clove off, peel off the skin. So this part right here, the pointy part, it will shoot up a green leaf. This part will shoot the roots. So you just take it, and stick it down in your soil, just like that. And in a couple weeks, it'll start shooting up a green spike. You can do the same thing with this. You can plant the whole thing if you want to, if you don't want to put it in different spots. I like to put it in different spots. But if you want to, you can just plant the whole thing underneath the soil, as long as you peel off all the skin. Then we have one more thing. We have our kale bed. I've dug a little trench on one side of the kale bed where I'm going to sprinkle some kale seeds, just like this. Very simple, just like that. Go all the way down the row. Sprinkle our little teensy tiny seeds. And then we'll just go like this and cover it up with the soil. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to water everything, and we'll check it out in a couple weeks to see what's sprouted. Have a great week, everybody. See you after fall break.
Hi, friends. friends, thanks for coming to our closing circle for our fall planting lesson. Miss Malia here to close us out for the day. So, we talked about fall planting. Fall planting. What is something that you learned about today that you didn't already know? I'm going to take a second and think about that. Let's see, we had our opening circle and we had our garden demonstration. We read our beautiful book about what was up above in the garden and what was going on down below in the dirt. We did a fun art lesson for fall. What were the things you saw in the garden demonstration today with Miss Kim? Did you learn how to plant some baby plants or some plant starts? Yeah. We talked about different things that we plant when it gets cool. Do you remember what types of things we planted? We've got broccoli and cabbage, cauliflower, all kinds of fun things for the winter, for the cool weather coming up. Yeah. All the members of our Brassica family. Remember that word? Brassica. That's right. What did we talk about in terms of keeping those baby plants warm? What do we do to keep them warm in the cool weather? Do you remember? What did we do? What do you do when it's cool? We put on more clothes. We wrap up in a comfy blanket. That's right. So we put on some mulch. And the kind of mulch we use is straw to keep those plants warm. That's right. So friends, what we would love to see is either a picture of your artwork that you did today, your fall art, or you could go outside and take a picture of any plant that you see that's really thriving in this cool weather. And thriving means doing really well. So some of our plants are not cool weather plants. So they're going to turn different colors and turn brown, and they're going to die off for the winter. And that's okay. That's what they're supposed to do. And some other plants are really excited that it's cool, and they're going to do really well and thrive. So you can go outside and take a picture of a plant that you see that is thriving. So if you can share either a picture of your fall artwork or go outside, take a picture and share a picture of a plant that is thriving, we would love to see it and see how you're doing. All right, friends, let's sing our song. We're going to get our seeds ready, and we're going to 1, 2, 3. Plant the little seed in the dark, dark ground. Out comes the yellow sun, big and round. Down comes the cool rain, soft and slow. Up comes the little plants, grow, grow, grow. Awesome! Thanks for helping us plant some cool weather plants for our fall planting lesson. See you soon, friends.